Welcome, everybody, to the Habs Tonight post-game show. We've got myself and Alyssa Hope on with you guys for the Habs losing to the Jets 4-2 tonight. Alyssa, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. Just got in, from the gym and, digesting the game a little bit. Looked like the Jets. I mean, the Jets are a wagon, so probably a little tough to compete with them sometimes, especially, how strong they've been after that Pierre-Luc Dubois addition. So,
Yeah, I didn't notice him like a ton tonight, to be honest with you.
no.
And Blake Wheeler being out of the lineup kind of helped the Habs, but then I guess it didn't help enough because they didn't get the win. But since Dubois has joined the squad, they've definitely been just more top heavy, right? So, they scored,
sure.
what was it, 18 seconds into the game, Josh Morrissey snipes one, and then
like 3 in the first, right? Like it was like 3-1. I was watching because I'm a runner, so like I have my music in and I'm like watching ESPN, just like the scoring, and I saw it said 3-1 in first, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, the Jets are putting it on here.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, Phil Deneau answered that pretty quickly, like less than a minute and a half later or something like that.
Yeah.
That was a nice play too, but it's tough to get down early to the Jets. I mean, we see how good they are. Just again, super top heavy. We're going to get into trade talk at some point during the show, just so fans know, because Alyssa loves her trade talk. So
I'm excited.
We can't tell.
Put out a video on it. I'm going to work on part 2 tonight, so you can check it out on my channel. Plug in myself, Alyssa Hope.
Yeah, no, your channel's legit. I mean, if hockey fans pay any attention in the hockey world, you should check out her channel, because you probably seen it without even knowing, some people, because you have such a good set of highlights of just like top 10s for everything hockey you can think of, worst moments, best moments, highlight reels. There's all kinds of stuff. So do check out Alyssa's channel. That's, of course, you can plug it. Come on.
Thank you. Try to be humble here. I try to be humble when I can.
Hey, it's cool. No, you know what? There's a humble confidence that I think we're allowed to have in this world. So that's how I try to look at it.
Crosby's very good at that. Crosby is so good at that. Anyway.
Oh, totally. Actually, we should get a wider shot so I can show you my Sid banner. Oop, I didn't want to take you out there. There we go. Okay, so Sid is to my right over here. So finally a chance to show you.
I like it.
Right? Come on, giving Sid some love here.
He's here somewhere. I have a piece of the Game 7 net, so I haven't really, talked to you on air, so I haven't really told you, but I have a piece of the Game 7 2009 Game Used net right here. So
that's unreal.
Yeah,
that's so
sick.
And
then I have flower behind me as well, like an autograph plaque. So
I've seen the flower. Yeah, I've seen that autograph picture for sure. I didn't see the full frame of what you got there, because my brother and I, when we watched the Penguins win the Stanley Cup in 2009, we just both looked at each other and smiled. Like, we were so happy for Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. It was a killer Game 7. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, can I tell you a funny story about that? So it's hilarious. Not to get too off subject, because obviously we're talking Habs, but I'll try to make this quick.
All good.
I was literally in Texas when that whole thing was going on. So I was watching it, and it was just hilarious because I was there visiting my mom's family because they live down there. So I'm watching the game, and they all want to go out to dinner, and they're trying to drag me out of the house, and I'm wanting to watch Game 7 so bad, but I never see them. So it was do I choose my family or this? And I chose the family. So I'm looking on my little flip phone, seeing, the score, and obviously Talbot came up big, Fleury came up big. And then, I was like, yes, but probably screaming up and down in a Golden Corral, and people thought I was crazy, but whatever. So anyway,
hey, it's all good.
Funny story.
That's your dedication, man. That's your dedication. I'm going to put this up because, yes, we are going to talk about the game, so don't you worry about that. So I put
sorry
that up
about that. I just had to get that out. It was just a funny story. I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to share it. So
No, it's all good. Alyssa and I, it's our first time together on air, so naturally we're going to chat it up. But in terms of tonight's game, obviously a frustrating one for Montreal Canadiens fans, seeing another loss. But you know what? Jake Allen stood on his head tonight still, despite the loss. And I know it's sour grapes sometimes, because, ultimately, the Habs lose, and we always try to find the silver lining on this show. I think what a key thing in this time frame right now, just before the trade deadline, Alyssa, is that, and I wish I could get Dale to attest to this too, but this is a tough time for players because they don't know what's going to be happening in the next several days. It's got to be in the back of their mind if guys are going to get moved. It plays a part in their subconscious, I feel, and then it can affect their game. I'm curious to know about that. So That's something I would want to know about.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. So I'm thinking like obviously like Marc Bergevin, like I said, he has the best poker face in the league, right? He's just so good at like saying, I'm not going to do anything. And then he's, like being sneaky behind the scenes and doing something. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? But anyway, I'm thinking that he could try to add possibly to the defensive core. Maybe if he can find someone. I know obviously Ekholm was out there for a while, but I mean Nashville is heating up right now. So I mean he's kind of, I think, off the block for the most part because they're, now obviously like in a playoff picture. They're in the top 4 in the Central. So so I think that might not be a possibility right now. But if you look at a guy like maybe David Savard from Columbus, maybe. I mean, if you need a defensive guy, he's the guy. Alex Goligoski, we call him Goose. He was in Pittsburgh actually for a while. He would be a good addition, possibly. You've got a lot of guys out there. I think they just need, like maybe some fresh legs and just someone to alternate and kind of work in there in the postseason if need be. You can never have enough, but obviously like Bergevin says, cap. So, I mean, it's just what you can do and what you can work in and what you can find, what you can give. But I know the Habs do have a lot of draft picks still, even after that Stahl trade, they do have a lot of draft picks. So, I mean, it just depends on what Bergevin is thinking. I mean, if you guys can take this run and really take that leap in there and go all in, I mean, it just depends on, what he thinks in the picture. I think the Habs, in my personal opinion, I think they're definitely a playoff team. Definitely. I mean, they smoked us in the bubble. I watched that last year for Pittsburgh. So I mean,
Steffi loves to remind you about that.
But obviously, I think, in my opinion, one of the biggest pieces that they added, and Bergevin, I think he did wonders in the offseason. I mean, he was amazing. I think that the Habs, if I'm going on too much, just let me know. But the Habs,
all good.
They did the most work, in my opinion, out of all the teams. I think. Maybe the Sabres last offseason, maybe, but I think the Habs just like their roster, it just was so bolstered over, the offseason. So I think Bergevin did a great job there. And I think that he's really, really trying to propel this team into being a cup contender and a team that can, jockey with a lot of these other teams that, they may be versing. And I think he's done a great job personally. And Allen, I think Allen was probably the biggest piece that y'all got. I mean, obviously Toffoli and Anderson have been real big for you all. But I think Allen, like when you looked at it on a big picture, I think like I know Carey Price was like so overworked for a while that like getting Allen in there, it kind of gave you all more stability in net and like, you know what I mean? Like kind of some insurance there because Allen, I mean, no disrespect to whoever was there, but Allen is, he's a gamer and he had a rough go of it, unfortunately, in St. Louis, and you hate to see that. But I'm happy for him that he got to come in and kind of get, some redemption there in that. I mean, it's awesome. So Jake the Snake for you all, he's been big, and I mean, when he's had to be, I think. And you have a solidified backup there that you can rely on, and obviously it worked for Pittsburgh with Fleury and Murray. Not to talk too much on the Pens there, but you can see it. It's always a comforting feeling. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Didn't mean to ramble there, but I get passionate about hockey.
That's why we brought you on. Don't worry about it. We're going to get back to the Habs game, and actually we will talk more momentarily about the trade situation coming up. We've got a big trade deadline day for the Habs Tonight team. And also for tonight's show, guys, don't forget to, if you want to be on the show tonight to talk about the game, email us at live@habstonight.com. If we can get Steffi to bring up the banner there for us, live@habstonight.com. Actually, here it is. So there it is at the bottom, live@habstonight.com. If you want to come on and talk about tonight's game, what you think Marc Bergevin should do ahead of the trade deadline, what pieces are missing. One thing I do want to mention for sure is that this was an important thing on the live broadcast tonight. And I thought it was very interesting, actually, is that Pierre LeBrun, I'm not sure if you know Pierre LeBrun. You might see him on Twitter.
Yeah, insider. Yeah, good insider.
There you go.
Up there with Drager for sure.
Yeah, so Alyssa's in the States, just for those that don't know, but she's still very plugged in, as you can see.
Gotta represent.
That's right. And speaking of America, Cole Caufield, this gentleman here is going to be playing his first pro game tomorrow night.
Friday, right?
Yep, tomorrow night at
That's what I
the Bell
heard.
Center.
Yeah, that's what
So
I heard.
he's going to be playing the Toronto Marlies, and what the reason I mentioned this, Alyssa, is because Pierre LeBrun said, quote, tonight on tonight's live broadcast that he expects Cole Caufield to make his debut with the Montreal Canadiens this season. So it's only a matter of time before we see him in Montreal this season. That's what he said. And Pierre knows his stuff, so I'm going to take him at his word. And frankly, that's kind of what I expected anyway. With Gallagher out right now, I mean, with Price's injury is actually a little longer term than we expected as well. So there's still some pieces missing going into this final stretch here. And I think Cole Caufield could help the power play. I've said that for a while. And I know we don't want to put too much pressure on the kid early, but I mean, we're going to need him. We're going to need some offense. And we'll go back to the game tonight, you guys. So I'm just going to pull up a couple of the notes from the game tonight. We mentioned Josh Morrissey sniping, and then Phil Deneau tying the game early in this one. And then Pionk with a saucer pass, a nice backhand saucer pass to Trevor Lewis in the first period. Alyssa, you might have still been at the gym for this one, but you caught up the game. So
I did a little, yes. So I did see one goal. Oh man, it was a later one against Bucky, and I think it kind of reminds. Oh, I'm sorry.
Was it the Byron goal off the boards?
Yes. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like, and I was saying this in the group chat. I don't know if you saw that, but I think Bucky. I mean, obviously, like I had him for Vezina last year. Like even before he got Vezina, I was just raving about him. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this guy is unreal. But anyway, I think that sometimes goalies try to play the puck because it's kind of like having another guy a little bit like on the back end there, to set up plays. So I'm thinking, Bucky might be trying to play, and like I get that. I know Mike Smith. I mean, watching him, like I've said, I mean, I don't get the privilege to really watch Canadian games, on NBCSN. Now with obviously with y'all, I have the privilege now to watch more Canadian games. But anyway,
that's right,
which is awesome. But but as I've watched Smitty, I mean, you can notice how good he is with playing the puck. And I think that like sometimes though, when you do that, I mean, there's always like room for error, like, I mean, regardless of how good you are, it's just happenstance. It happens. So I think Bucky trying to play the puck like that, he kind of got behind the play a little bit, and the Habs definitely, they capitalized. So
yeah. Well, I said it to you guys in the group chat that Hellebuck was hella focused tonight because he just, I don't know, like before faceoffs, like you watch goalies as they're, getting focused and reset. That just sometimes you just know when they're really dialed in. Like you can probably attest to that from watching Flower for all your life.
Oh,
so
I love Flower. Yes.
So when goalies get dialed in,
he is. Like I could just talk about Flower, but obviously we're here for Habs. But yeah, anyway.
But it's just interesting. I'm like, oh no, like it just kind of was a bad sign for me. I'm like, oh no, like. Connor Hellebuck looks really dialed in, but you know what? The Habs put up a good fight. Again, like I'm not going to put too much stock in these last couple games before the trade deadline, just because, as we mentioned, it's just such a strange time. I mean, guys' lives could be changing, in a few days, if you think about it. So it's really not an easy situation to be in. So with just, Armia, Armia is still out of the lineup, so we're going to get him back hopefully very shortly here. And then, this talk about Cole Caufield in the next little while, Brendan Gallagher obviously being out longer than we would have ever wanted. But on defense, in terms of Ben Sherratt. Ben Sherratt is, of course, going to come back hopefully sooner than later. And, we just need more stability on the defensive end. But, I mean, we need a puck-moving defenseman. And I know a lot of fans would love to see a guy like Vince Dunn or something. But he's an RFA in St. Louis, so I don't really see that one happening, although fans would love it.
Too. Yeah, he would be inexpensive too. That's a good observation. You do need, you could get a puck mover there. And there's not a lot of puck movers, I think, out there. I mean, the more that I look at the market, it seems like it's more of the defensive side. So, I mean, it's kind of like, like I said, you've got like Goligoski, you've got a guy like Mark Stahl, you've got David Savard, you've got several guys out there, but with Ekholm being off the board, he was kind of like, the piece, right? He was the go-to piece that everyone was kind of like, I think, looking for, because he's just been so great this year in Nashville. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. But I was wanting to just say a little something about Cole Caufield, if that's okay with you.
Yes, we are heavily anticipating this kid, and I just hope that we're all right about him.
Yeah. So I did a 5X video on my channel, and like I learned a lot about him, and like I coming in, like obviously like I watched him in the World Juniors American, Team USA represent. But
Right. Gold
watching
medal. They won the
what is it?
gold. You guys won
What
the
is it?
gold. We got to give it to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I mean, and to discuss that a little bit, like I didn't know the whole deal like about the trash can thing. Like I just like I didn't know. Apparently there was
Yeah.
like a story about it, but I know it like rattled a lot of people, and like I was just like at first I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's I don't like that. But then I got the story. There was I guess an inside story about that. But seeing that was really awesome. And I mean, obviously Caufield was part of that. Trevor Zegras, Spencer Knight standing on his head, like that was crazy to see. Florida's so lucky, getting him. But anyway, getting back to Cole Caufield, I learned, and this might be just a little, humor bit to put in there, but in the interview, whenever Caufield was drafted, he actually got to meet Brendan Gallagher because Caufield said that was his favorite player. So Brendan Gallagher approaches him. And I mean, me being a short person, like I'm literally like 5'1", so like I can definitely appreciate this. But Brendan, but if you watch the interview, it's hilarious because Brendan Gallagher's literally like telling him in the interview, "I'm going to chirp you because you're shorter than me," because he's short. There's a lot of short guys on the Habs team, so he's literally telling him that. And
I saw this interview actually.
it was just really
Yeah.
funny to see,
Yeah.
like you're gonna get chirped, kind of like the Torrey Krug and Brad Marchand little feud they had going on. Like, I'm taller, no, you're taller. Like, just funny to see that, little banter going on.
Well, it's true
Yeah,
because in that video, Galley's like, this is my first draft because Brendan Gallagher went undrafted. So that was
yeah,
his first experience at the draft, talking to Cole Caufield, and Cole's all starstruck, with Galley being his favorite player probably, and it's just funny to see. And now he's going to be his teammate in like weeks' time, most likely, if our sources at TSN are correct, which a lot of times they are. So back to the game tonight. We'll kind of tee this back up again for you guys, but just a few more observations. There was actually I don't know if you saw it, Alyssa. There was a non-fight tonight between Corey Perry. Yeah, you saw
Perry.
that, right? And
I
that
saw
was so
I saw a
interesting.
little clip. Yeah, I saw it on YouTube. Somebody posted it, but Perry and who went with Perry? I'm sorry.
I do have it written down. It was Logan Stanley.
Okay. You love to see that because like I was saying last night, like I actually watched the game last night, and like Barry was trying to get under guys' skin on purpose because he knew he could, and it was just hilarious. Like I was saying, whenever you guys had you were already on the PK, and like I think it was they were saying last night on post game it was a vet move, and I think it was totally like so smart by Perry because he's like, I have an opportunity to get under this guy's skin. I'm going to do it because the refs aren't going to call it. You know what I mean? We're already down. So I think Perry is he's playing that role so well, with Galley being out, and obviously Galley being out like that. That's really rough on y'all. I mean, he's just like the heart and soul of that team. I mean, you look
Oh yeah,
on my
hands down.
videos, I'm plugging myself yet again, but I did a favorite players. I did a favorite players series. I think it was last year, and I had Galley as my favorite player on that team because he just brings so much. And like, if you go, I'm literally saying on there that I think that he should be captain like next, whenever the time comes, because he's just so valuable to that team. So him being out, obviously, that's been a huge loss to you all. And like, obviously, I'm thinking they're saying though that he's probably going to be back in time for the playoffs. That's what I've been hearing, but
Yeah, knowing
maybe.
Galley. Yeah, I mean, you would think so. Just knowing him, he's going to do everything in his freaking power to get back for playoffs.
Yeah.
That's you can lock that in. That's for sure. He'll be coming in with half a hand if he has to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Bionic man by now, but hey.
Yeah, exactly. He would do it though because he's Brendan Gallagher. It's that simple. I was going to put this up for Perry tonight because we had, I think it was recently, good fight question. I put a question mark on it because it wasn't actually a fight tonight between Perry and Stanley. But
Did the refs break it up? Because I actually didn't see it because they do that a lot. I mean, they've been doing that more lately.
Yeah, he didn't. They didn't break it up. What happened was Perry was kind of like, "What? What do you want to fight for?" Like I didn't. It wasn't really. It was kind of like a hit from behind, but it looked like I can't remember who he hit, but It was a little bit from behind, so it was kind of just awkward. And Perry was
Okay.
like, "What's the big deal?" Like he's looking at Stanley, and he's like, "What did I do?" Like So they both dropped the gloves, and they still got 5 minutes each, but there wasn't a single punch thrown. So that's why I put "good fight?" ? But I'm like, that's what
awesome.
actually happened. That's what actually happened. So that was funny to watch because Corey Perry just looked like such a nice person in that moment. He's like, "What? Like, what do you?" Like, after all the
worm
things,
is innocent. Whoa.
the worm himself is like humbling himself in front of everybody. A couple more notes here about the game. I mean, I think we already mentioned that Jake Allen, of course, stood on his head, which he did. So I'll put that back up for Jakey here. But, just a lot of missed opportunities tonight, Alyssa. I don't know if you saw, but I mean, the power play is still an issue for the Canadiens right now. They just haven't been able to convert, but not even just that. The Habs really are struggling in terms of just hitting, like I wouldn't say they're struggling. They're hitting posts, they're hitting crossbars. Arturi Lehkonen is just famous, guy who works so hard and can't always capitalize on his chances. But we long for him to capitalize so much because of how hard he plays. He had a chance to, it was either tie the game or make it a 1-goal game. I think it was to tie the game in the second period. And Hellebuck was down and out pretty much, and he just hit straight crossbar. And it just happens a lot to Arturi because he's not really known for being a sniper, but in the beginning of the season, he was burying some goals. So I just wish that he would get more lucky, if you will, because and Nick and I have talked about this many times about how hard he works and just how unlucky he gets.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I could see from him. I mean, obviously, it's my favorite sound, like being a hockey nerd, like the puck hitting the post, like
Ping.
that's literally like the best emote ever. But obviously not great for him. But I think, yeah, I mean, you do what you can, and the power play. I mean, I think for the Habs, definitely on the special teams, if you look at it, I mean, obviously, like I don't have the stats pulled up, but what I've seen is that their penalty kill has been just way better and superb. Versing other teams. I watched it last night. They literally killed a 5-1-3. So, I mean, they've been great as far as that goes. But yeah, just like you said, trying to bolster the power play. I mean, the best you can. Obviously, going into the playoffs, the special teams are key. So you're going to want to have a power play that is gelling as much as you can. And maybe that's something that Bergevin is going to look at, and maybe try to get someone in there that can kind of light it up a little bit. But I know Stahl. I think Stahl has just been a great addition for y'all. I mean, obviously, like I said, I didn't completely watch him tonight, but that OT winner was just like magical for y'all. Like that first game, like it couldn't have happened any better. Like, I mean, it was just amazing. So, and also, obviously he's helping in the face-off circle as well. I think that was one thing that the Burge wanted to address there a little bit, was just remaining a little bit, getting a little bit stronger in the face-off circle and keeping possession as much as possible. So, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's some things like I've been mentioning, like we have some holes still in the lineup right now I mean, like literally with, Sherratt, Gallagher, Armia, Carey Price being out right now.
Key players. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, so, I mean, it's going to be curious. No, it's okay. It's just going to be curious to see what Bergie does. But seeing the Weiser's comment here about Jeff Petry's assist on Paul Byron's goal, because I think Derek Weiss is like the biggest Jeff Petry fan that we know. So
is that Dale's brother? That's Dale's brother, right?
Yes, it is.
Follows me on socials. Okay.
Yeah. So I put the sequence of comments from Weiss and then Brandon Legacy, of course, too. So be sure to check out Crushing Cans, which is Saturday. They're going to be having a radio guest from Winnipeg on, so be sure to check that out, you guys. Going to be another great show. It's been just so much fun watching Derek and Brandon's chemistry on that show. There's going to be a lot of guests coming on that show as well, so keep an eye out for that. We'll get to some trade deadline talk in a second here, because and I'll see if I can get a screen share up, because I do have the trade bait board that's available from TSN, and we can take a quick look, Alyssa. I know that sounds like just dessert and cookies for you.
My heart rate's going up, man, as you're talking. Right? Just talking trades. Yes.
Heart rate going up for Alyssa right now. But yeah, just to finish off just some points on this game, I think here's the one thing I'll put up here, and I know we're going to talk a lot of Cole Caufield tonight. We mentioned the power play. Can Cole Caufield help the Habs power play? This is where I think the answer is a definite yes. Now, we're going to see him tomorrow night playing against the Toronto Marlies in his first ever pro game. We mentioned that off the top of the show. But honestly, like, if this kid's for real, we're going to know pretty quick. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I know there's pressure on him, this and that, but because of our situation, we need goals. And if Cole Caufield is going to show up early, he's going to show up early to, like, in the AHL and then right into the NHL. I know he's been dealing with the size issue his whole career. That's all you're going to hear about him, right? 5'7". But I got to tell you, in his first press conference yesterday with the Laval Rocket, the kid looked jacked. Like, for a dude who's 5'7", like, take a look at that. He is. I wish I had a picture of Cole right now. Check it out on the Canadiens YouTube channel if you want. But he looked like he's bulked up, and he has been 3 or 4 workouts a week, and he's 170 pounds now, still going up. So I really think that the Canadiens need a boost on their power play. In terms of the trade deadline, I don't know that they're going to get it. So I think Cole Caufield could be that answer, at least in the next little bit here, Alyssa.
Yeah, I mean, his story, I really appreciate his story because, like you were saying, I think he has had a little bit of a hard time, with his height. And I mean, like I said, me being a shorter person, I've never played hockey, but if I did, I would definitely feel a little bit connected to that, feeling that as well. So, I think that it's really cool because he actually looked up to Marty St. Louis growing up, and I thought that was awesome. He was like his role model because he's obviously a shorter player and was super impactful for the Rangers, especially. I remember, that playoff series versus them, that was crazy. His mom, passing away and having that momentum and just, beating us. But not to get off subject too much, but definitely, I mean, he's a sniper. I mean, doing some research on him, like, he is a goal scorer. Like, I think, did you call him Goal Caulfield? I didn't hear that correctly. Okay. I wasn't sure if I misunderstood you because it's so close, but that's perfect. Like, is that a Montreal thing? Are you all calling him that, or did you just come up with that? Because that's genius.
I think Wisconsin came up with it in the NCAA. I don't think it was the Canadiens. Genius. But we've jumped on board because we want to see it. Now I'm going to put up Michael's comment here because I understand where he's coming from. College hockey does not equal NHL. Develop him. And Dale, we shared some of the same sentiments. I think it was after our Don Cherry show. And, like, I completely understand that perspective. It makes sense. Yeah. It really does. I just think that at this point, the kid, at least the way he's coming across, he does come across that he's ready. It's going to be up to him to show it. But I don't get that hyped about players too early. I know what we've done or what we can do to players. And, Ryan Poehling, we can't wait to see him hopefully return to the Montreal Canadiens lineup as well. He's been playing very well. Saw somebody here said that they should be calling up Poehling and not Caufield. And I'll put that up too. So I understand where they're coming from. And actually, Ryan Poehling, I mean, we all know, first NHL game against the Toronto Maple Leafs a year and a half ago, hat trick, shootout winner. It was just a miracle night for the kid, right? And I think that Poehling and Caufield could get some playing time together on the Laval Rockets. So that would be nice to see. And then if we see some early chemistry from them, maybe bring them up. Maybe we could see them in a future third line role with the Canadiens. I mean, a lot of questions to be answered still. But I do think that there's a lot of hype around Caufield for a reason. Montreal has not had, Alyssa, a pure goal scorer in a very long time. Max Pacioretty is probably the last one. But there's something about his size and speed that I think he could use to his advantage, Caufield. And that's something that looks like, to me, a player that looks like to be the future of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I literally still have the magazine, actually, which, I mean, I'm a hockey nerd, so, I mean, it's somewhere. But whenever Patrick Kane was drafted, he was looked at as kind of being a smaller player and someone that maybe was doubted a little bit for his size. And obviously, I mean, he's not as short as Caufield, but comparatively at that time, I think that people were looking at him being a shorter player and maybe not up to steam. But obviously, he's proved us wrong. Got to represent American over here. So anyway, so I think it's interesting too. I mean, a lot of these smaller players tend to be, I mean, in my opinion, just from what I've seen, American, and it's just kind of interesting. Like, you got Jack Hughes, you've got Patrick Kane, you've got Cole Caufield, like a lot of these guys coming up, and they're smaller, but they're amazing. And looking at it, I mean, it's interesting because Trevor Zegras, some people have been saying, for Anaheim, because I mean, he was on the Team USA with Caufield. So Trevor Zegras, he has been, I mean, just lights out. I think for the Seagulls, I believe, or the Goals. I'm sorry, the Goals.
Yep.
The Anaheim AHL team, and he's been lights out, and it's just like Anaheim has this tendency to try to develop their players to a point where it's just like you're kind of overcooking them, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
I like
Yeah,
that. Overcooking them, Alyssa. I like that.
like a
See, guys, we
rotisserie
don't want to overcook
chicken.
Cole Caufield, okay?
I'm hungry, so I'm thinking about food here. But
I like that. We're going to use that. When Cole Caufield lights it up early for this franchise, in whichever way he does, we're going to reference this episode right there. Don't overcook the kid. He's ready.
And have a rotisserie chicken on the shirt with the Cole Caufield. Yeah, that'd be perfect. But anyway, I mean, I think that you got to give the kid a chance. I mean, you don't know. I mean, especially, and I think if it was earlier in the season, in my opinion, I think that you would leave him. But like where it's getting closer to playoff time, like it, you know what I mean? Like it can't hurt to try it out and see what happens. I mean, worst case scenario, you send him back down. So. Let him get a little experience. I mean, a lot of these players coming in, I mean, it's crazy because, like, I know it's easy to see a first rounder and think, I mean, as we've seen in the past, like other players coming in, not to get too negative, but I think that they're held at a higher esteem, and sometimes, they don't pan out right away. And they need a little bit more time than people think. But I do believe, I mean, obviously, like I said, I think if you put Caufield in, I mean, how much can it hurt? You know what I mean? Like, you guys need some
That's my
scoring right
thought on
now
it, yeah.
with the injuries. Obviously, like you were mentioning, like the Brendan Gallagher, the Sherratt. You guys have got injuries. Obviously, he's a defenseman, but I mean, you've got injuries. Just putting him in, inserting him, seeing how it gels, seeing how it works. Maybe if it doesn't, you just say you cut your losses and say, okay, like go to Laval and like develop a little bit more. So that's my opinion. But
Well, yeah, Miguel's comment from earlier here, because he said, here, I'll bring it up. So bringing Caufield on sounds like desperation. We all want to see him with the Habs, but is that the best for him and the team or for the fans? Well, take it up with Pierre LeBrun, I would say, because he's the one who announced it on TSN during the broadcast, and he's an insider, so he knows a thing or two. And I'm not saying that that's the be all end all because it came from an insider, but that's just the information that he's got, is that they expect Caufield to be seen by the Canadiens this season. And to me, there's no harm, like you said, Alyssa, in just bringing the kid up, seeing what he can do. If he just is purely not ready, then he goes back down to Laval. It's just that simple in my mind. I haven't been drinking.
You're not completely putting all your chips on the table, and like you're gambling. You're not putting it all away. You're just kind of like, okay, like low risk. Let's see what happens, and we'll go from there. So, I totally I mean, obviously we agree. So, but I mean, obviously people have their own opinions, and they're entitled to their opinions. So, I mean, I respect it. And I think just watching, like I said, watching Caufield in the World Juniors, I mean, it was phenomenal. And obviously it's not the same level, but yeah, it literally, to me, it can't hurt, especially when you all need someone right now just to kind of come in and maybe jolt the lineup a little bit, because you never know. Sometimes you bring players in and it jolts everybody. I mean, we kind of saw that a little bit with Eric Stahl and Perry, I think, at first. And it was just like putting Eric Stahl in there, and they have that like Team Canada experience, right? So it's just like they're a little bit familiar. So having them on, playing together, it just kind of jolted things. So I mean, you just never know what could ripple through and kind of get the team going,
That's exactly my thought on it, is that this team could use a spark, especially once the trade deadline is past us and we know the way the lineup's going to go going forward. It sounds like we may have George waiting. I don't know if Steffi's able to bring George on the line so that we can get him on the show. We'd love to have you on.
He was cool. I don't remember.
Yeah, possibly. Okay. Yeah, on the other night. So I don't know if Steffi, if you're able to give us a hand, we'd love to have George on to chat with us for sure. So we'll wait on that temporarily here. And we'll talk about, like I said, trades and stuff like that momentarily, just in terms of other teams. But yeah, we'll kind of wait to hear from Steffi, and let me just see if I got any notifications here in the emails. So yeah, we'll check the email, and I don't know if I have actually access to the email right now, but we'll give it a shot. In the meantime, Alyssa, if you want to run down, I think some fans are curious what the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to do, and the only reason I bring this up is because I had the trade bait list here, and I think it was not Savard, but somebody from Nashville, Mikhail Granlund from Nashville. I think the Leafs are going to try to target him.
Not to interrupt, but I just saw, because I have my phone up here. Steph said she sent that link to the email, so I don't know if that helps you or not. But anyways,
okay.
Transitioning back, Toronto, yeah, I could definitely see that. Right now, I think the Leafs are trying to kind of solidify that second line a little bit. So they've had a little bit of a struggle there, I think. And now Galchenyuk, I think he's been. And this is the meme on Twitter. It's like, oh my gosh, like Toronto is the best at developing players. Because like I did I've started a little series, and it's not really super. I don't have a lot on the series yet. I think I've done 2 so far, but I started a series called Hockey Hobos, and I just kind of coined it that way because what I did, or what I've done, is I look at players that have gone through like several teams, and just kind of why, and like maybe something hasn't worked out. Why it's kind of not worked for them in certain scenarios. So I know a lot of Galchenyuk's story, and I mean, seeing him have that success obviously with Toronto is awesome, but like you were saying, I mean, the Leafs are trying to go all in this year. I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
It's literally like, I feel like personally it's like cup or bust right now for Kyle Dubas, and there's a lot of pressure. I mean, they've been having a hard time getting away from, or getting out of that first round there. So they're looking to really make a big push, and really go through. And I mean, obviously, like I've said before, Toronto isn't my favorite team. I have some friends that are Leafs fans, but I still, for the fan base, it kind of is hard to watch that. You feel for them, even still. It's like, they haven't seen success in a while. So I really feel like, yes, Kyle Dubas is definitely going to be targeting. He probably will want a more versatile player, I would say, center or wing. And obviously, like Granlund is one of those guys that can play that position, wing or center. Another guy I would look at, and it is very possible, Nick Foligno. And I'll tell you why. He's also very versatile, and he would give them more of a grit and a bite to their game if they're looking for that to be, because I know before, I mean, they've added guys like Wayne Simmons. They've added, some grit. They've added Bogosian, and they've gotten a little bit grittier. And I think Dubas really tried to address that last offseason. But I think if you added Foligno in there, it wouldn't hurt at all. Actually, he's one of my favorite players, Nick Foligno. So obviously, like I want him to come to Pittsburgh because, I mean, Hextall is looking for a bottom 6. And a power forward. So obviously I'm crossing my fingers. I would be first in line to get a Foligno jersey with the Penguins logo on it. I don't even care. I'd pay, $200. I don't care. But anyway, but I think,
we
Foligno
all overpay for our hockey memorabilia, especially jerseys. So
yes. And I not to get off subject too much, but I have 2, I'm not, I don't know, like I'm not one of those people that just, I'm not a huge jersey collector. It's just like, if it feels right, like happenstance. But I have a Crosby Winter Classic from 2008 versus Buffalo Sabres, and also have a Pascal Dupuis Winter Classic as well from the same one where Sid got concussed.
Winter Classic, that's my hat tonight, actually. The one that Dale Weiss played
love it.
Against the Bruins. 5-1 win for the Habs, just saying. Not to cut you off there, Alyssa, but we do have George.
Sorry.
So we're going to bring George on to the show. George, you're live with Alyssa and Drew Dekes. How's it going tonight?
Hello, Drew. Doing well. Hello, Alyssa.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on. So what are your thoughts?
It's an honor to cut you off.
Hey,
it's a privilege.
Bill,
you better.
It's okay. It's completely okay. I'm a passionate hockey fan over here. So once I get going, sometimes it's like I just can't stop. And it's just like I love it so much. And it's just like, But George, I love having you on here. You were awesome the first time.
That's the way to be. Oh well,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you're awesome.
What do you want to talk about, George? Do you want to talk about the game tonight? What the Habs should do with the trade deadline? What's on your mind first here?
Well, what time is the Hobie Baker Award announcement?
So that's tomorrow. That is tomorrow.
What time tomorrow?
That's a good question because the media.
Is it something that is broadcast? What is the?
Well, there was a question to Caufield yesterday in the press conference that he did with the Laval Rocket, and they said that it might be announced during the game. It may be announced before the game. I think it'd be kind of weird but they didn't really have an answer. The long and short of it, at least as far as I know. I could be wrong on that, George, but Caufield is going to start his pro career with hopefully the MVP award for the NCAA Hobie Baker Award. I mean, like, just all the signs are just pointing to this kid being ready. I know I'm getting too excited about him, but what do you think they should do with Caufield, George?
Well, because he's making that big leap from playing with teenagers and college students to grizzled veteran professional players, you have to start him in the A. I know it would be a more dramatic and more of a storybook conclusion to this year to have him go directly to the big team,
right?
But I think because he's a below average sized kid playing with these big brutes.
Yeah,
I think he has to break in with Laval.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I think that he's going to get that chance tomorrow. And I think we're going to know pretty quickly what level he's at. Like, he's going to either stand out from the pack and be like, okay, it's his first game in the AHL and he looks like he's NHL ready. That's fine if he is, but I mean, they don't have to rush him. The only reason I'm suggesting it is because we need goals. Like, we need goals right now. And Jake Allen, for example, has played in a lot of games with the Canadiens as the backup, and we haven't manufactured more than 2 goals with him in net for many of those games. So that's just a concern in terms of just the Habs trying to find ways to get more offensive production. And maybe Caufield's not the answer, but I think it would be nice to see him light it up with the Rocket. And even if he doesn't in the beginning, that's fine too. As long as he's moving forward, I mean, he's going to tell everybody when he's ready, right?
Right. Yes. And I hope he doesn't play like 3 games with no points, no shots, and having no presence at all. Yeah. I hope people don't start saying this guy's a bust. This guy's a mistake. Yeah. He's never going to play.
Yeah, that's the thing about our fans. I mean, God bless our fans, but we are not always the most patient. If you didn't notice in Montreal, if we're really being straight up and honest. So you got a fan here, George.
There's a whole Ryan Poehling thing, and I'm a huge fan of Ryan Poehling.
Yes, I want to see Poehling come back up too.
He came up for his one guest appearance and he lit it up.
Yeah,
he got the hat trick and the plus the shootout goal.
Alyssa, you got something?
Go for it. Say something. Yeah. I was just thinking, it's interesting because I think sometimes like that does happen, and I totally agree with you. Sometimes you put guys in and they aren't completely ready, and it's just it's all about the right timing, right? But I think it's interesting because like sometimes, like obviously I said, being a shorter person myself, I can kind of identify with this, but Jack Hughes, I mean, putting him in with the Devils, and I think it's been awesome because like a lot of people were down on him that first year. And, me being a YouTuber, I mean, I saw tons of like videos from like the hockey community. Oh my gosh, Jack Hughes is a bust. He's a bust. He's a bust. But I mean, early in the season, people were raving about him and he was lighting it up. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like he's wanting to prove people wrong, right? He just came in with that enthusiasm to prove people wrong. So, I mean, even if, it goes sour this season, for y'all, I mean, you kind of cut your losses, but maybe that would give him, some momentum coming in next season, especially. But yeah, he's playing with guys with beards now, so I mean, it's an adjustment.
That's awesome. Good point, Alyssa. George, anything about the game tonight?
None of those wispy Sidney Crosby beards either.
Oh my gosh, so yes, and people were saying forever that what was it that it wouldn't grow in right, and they're just like, oh my gosh, like I would see it being a Pittsburgh fan, and it's like, oh, why does Sidney Crosby grow a beard? Because like, oh, it's awful, but he tries, he does what he can. So I guess genetics, you can't change it.
Right. Yes.
Is this true, Alyssa? There's something that came up here from Eric. Crosby 5'10", Caufield's actually 5'7", from what I understood. But how tall is Sid?
No, Caufield, they're saying is 5'8".
Oh, is it 5'8" now? All right, we're gonna have a debate now.
He identifies as a person who's 5'8".
I love that.
5'11". Crosby is 5'11" because I have that like emote or like that audible. I don't know if you guys watch In the Room. It's a great Pittsburgh like Penguins like insider, but I remember it's always been etched in my brain, the humorous like whenever the guys are lining up and getting their pictures with the president. I mean, as they do here in the States with the cup. During one of those back-to-backers, Crosby's like, 5'11", boys, 5'11", so he's going in the front row. So it's always etched in my brain and etched in my memory, 5'11", boys, 5'11". But he looked up to Steve Yzerman, actually, growing up. Steve Yzerman was his idol, and as I was saying, Cole Caufield, I did some research on Cole Caufield, and Marty St. Louis was his idol. So it's just awesome, like, these guys had somebody to look up to, maybe when they're facing that adversity, coming up, like, hey, there's a guy that did it before, and I can kind of look to him a little bit to give me some confidence a little bit, being that smaller guy.
Yeah. We got some more measurements coming in for Caufield.
Number 26 is not available.
Number 26 is not available.
if he's planning to ask for that.
Yeah. Was that St. Louis' number?
St. Louis' number.
Yes, because he actually wore that. In my 5 Facts video. I don't know, George, if you're subscribed to me, but I did a video.
Don't worry, I am. I loved it. Yeah.
Not to sound egotistical over here, but I'm just saying, if you watch the video, it was really cool because when he was coming up in the ranks when he was a kid, he actually chose number 26 at some point, and I have him in the video literally with a picture with number 26 on, and it's just so cool. Like he already wanted that number, but you're right. I mean, 26 is taken, so he'll have to settle for something else.
And then there's like a million other Habs numbers retired in the rafters, so he's also going to have to choose from a very select few. Yeah. Anything else, George? You want to chat about?
I think he's going to go with 13.
I think so too. That was my thought, George. 13. Yeah. He was 13 for Team USA
in the World Juniors. Yes. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, Team USA, being I played soccer growing up, watching Alex Morgan. I mean, that's a USA connection right there, number 13. So who knows? There's a lot of great players that have worn that number in various sports. So
yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So George,
it's probably most associated with the pride of Pittsburgh, Dan Marino.
Dan Marino.
Yes.
Is that where Dan Marino's from? I know he was at Miami Dolphins.
Yes, he's from he played his entire career with Miami, but he's from Pittsburgh. Oh. I believe he's born in Pittsburgh.
Fun fact.
John Gibson too. John Gibson, there's been I mean, obviously, like, you feel for the guy because, like, in Anaheim, like, it's been tough for him, I think, at times, because watching him, he's just such a good goalie, right? And like, I think that there have been talks kind of like, oh, like, let's bring this boy home. He's from Pittsburgh. Like, let's make a homecoming. It would be great. And like, obviously I would totally be okay with that, with the pedigree and stuff. But obviously, like, you worry about the contract and, everything like that. But if that were to happen, I would be ecstatic. I'm not from Pittsburgh myself. I live about 3 hours away. but I've always felt very connected to that city, obviously because of the Penguins. So
That's a closer drive than it is to Montreal for us. It's 7 hours from Niagara on the Canadian side here, so that's not too bad.
I don't
Well,
feel so
George,
weird now.
no, 3-hour drive to a game isn't bad at all. Well, George, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate having you on. We love you're one of our.
It's awesome.
I don't think it's unfair or biased to say you're one of our favorite video guests so far. So we appreciate you. So keep coming on, keep watching, supporting.
I see it as Alyssa on the first line, Steffi on the second line. Drew, you're on the third line.
I'll take it. I'm good.
I don't know, man. I'm not.
And I'm on Laval's taxi squad.
Oh, I know. You're a grinder on that fourth line, George. Come on, you're a grinder all day long, brother.
Yeah.
It's a team sport here. We all try to contribute, man. So it's a team sport, and I do what I can. But I mean, hey, it would be cool, playing hockey to wear a C anytime, any day on that first line. But yeah, definitely a team here for sure.
We are a good team at Habs tonight. Well, thanks again, George. We appreciate it as always, and we'll see you again soon, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Good having you.
Good night.
Good night. George is the man. Gotta love him.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
So many comments up here for George. There was so much good stuff coming through, but
could he be our mascot? We don't have a mascot yet.
I don't see why not at this point. I think the team would absolutely love that. So what I'm going to get ready here really quickly before we wrap, Alyssa, my friend, is our trade bait board, because you've been patiently waiting to see this. So I'm going to get that ready for us. We got Taylor Hall at number 2 on the trade bait board. So I'm going to get that fired up here, and shouldn't take me very long at all. So let me get this ready to rock here. Let's see. Okay, there we are. So
I'm getting the air guitar going right now.
You got the air guitar going?
Yeah.
Atta girl.
Wow.
Okay.
So I'm using my phone, so I'm doing the best I can, but I mean, leaning in awkwardly, but yeah,
I should try to zoom in for you.
So this is really crazy. Obviously, Kyle Dubas, that makes sense because Kyle Dubas has been adamant that he would trade a top prospect. That totally makes sense. He's been adamant about that. He's all in, as I said. They should be. I mean, if you look at it at the big picture, David Savard. I believe I saw on Twitter that he was actually a healthy scratch. So obviously, that's probably what kind of propelled him to number 1. Taylor Hall has been a healthy scratch previously as well. So that totally makes sense. I know Mike Hoffman, he was at one point a healthy scratch because, I mean, all due respect to the guy, but the coach, I guess, came out in a presser and just, matter-of-factly said he wasn't happy with how things were going on the team for him. So I think that might be part of it. But Nick Foligno, yes. Come to Pittsburgh, Nick. If you're watching this, you're probably not, but please come to Pittsburgh. You would literally make my year. My birthday would be much, much sooner, or feel that way. So if you want me to go through, I can give you, I mean, it's whatever, y'all want, but I could give my insight and ramble for like 20 minutes if you want me to.
I don't have that kind of time myself, but that's okay.
I'm kidding. I can do it. I can do it quickly.
That's all right. We'll talk about. I'll just mention this really quickly. We'll talk about who the Habs should target, but and then we'll also get here to where Taylor Hall ends up. I don't know if you want to touch on that first, Alyssa. What you think is going to happen with Taylor?
So, yes, very interesting to me because, I mean, obviously a lot of people were thinking, oh my gosh, like New York Islanders, but like Lou Lamoriello, I mean, tipping my cap to this guy. He is awesome. And like, I have some people that kind of, subscribe to my channel and look like kind of, comments in the comments section and stuff. And there've been a lot of Devils fans that have approached me and said that they weren't very happy with that trade. Anyways, not to digress too much, but Taylor Hall obviously is not going there. I would not expect that. I mean, if he went to the Islanders, like obviously that was a top destination, I would be completely shocked because they just made a trade.
Right.
But Boston, I would say would be a big one because they've been having a little trouble in their second line. There's been, some a little questions, and I think if you look at it right now, dailyfaceoff.com, the Cassidy has literally Pasternak on the second line. And I mean, the perfection line is well known throughout the league. Everyone pretty much knows. I mean, Bergie, Marshy, Pasta, they're gold, right? They're one of the best first lines in the league. But he's trying to put he's putting Pasta on that second line because he's trying to get more scoring generated, I believe. So trying to add a guy in there and keep that perfection line intact on the first, and maybe having him in on the second left wing or something, that might be perfect. I think Jake DeBrusk might be moved. I mean, we'll see. It's so small. Is he actually, I don't know if he's even on the board anymore, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was moved. And
he's not in the top 15, but he might be on the bigger list. I'll take a look but go ahead. I'll take a look.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised, say, if he was moved and kind of inserting Taylor Hall in there. A lot of talks have been Jake DeBrusk to Edmonton, but I guess we'll see. Another destination for Taylor Hall, and I put this up actually on my most recent video, would be Florida, and I'll tell you why. They have been sort of in the scenario like you guys are. I know like the Islanders, like happenstance, obviously they made that trade, but they were kind of able to because of the Anders Lee injury and like the cap relief. So you guys are kind of in that same situation a little bit right now. But Taylor Hall, like with Aaron Ekblad going down in Florida, they could do it. And I think out of all the teams, I mean, if you look at like the Cup contenders, they're one of the teams that could really swing it and not really have to do anything because they have the room right there.
What about Colorado for Taylor Hall?
Yeah, I could see that definitely. I mean, obviously you don't want to break that first line up, but I could definitely see him like giving them supplemental scoring because you're right, they are very top heavy. I agree. Like obviously, like I think in my opinion, like the McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog line is it's gold too. It's one of those just amazing lines that just produces so much. So I mean, you obviously would want to maybe balance it out a little bit more. Obviously, Kadri's been great for them as well. That was a really good addition. Brandon Saad. They've got a lot of good guys like on their top six, but yeah, I would totally agree with that as well. I mean, you just look around and you kind of say like, what teams are wanting to go big, right? And I've heard Taylor Hall to Toronto, and like Paul, I listened to Spit and Chicklets, and Paul Bissonnette was talking about like he's tweeting all the time about Taylor Hall to Toronto, and I'm just like, no disrespect, but I'm just kind of like I don't know, I don't really see that fit. Do you see that fit there for Taylor Hall for Toronto personally?
Well, I mean, sure, because I mean, any team would want to take him at this point, only because of the UFA status and the fact that Buffalo is going to maybe have to eat half his salary. But I don't know where he's going to end up. I don't think anybody knew he was going to Buffalo. Nobody did until it actually happened. No, really though, no one knew until it actually happened. I was very happy for the Sabres, and they gave Mel Martin a shout out too.
Yes,
so
it was hilarious. It was awesome though. Like it was amazing. Like I was so like happy for the Sabres as well. Like it was the sweetest surprise. And I was like, I mean, obviously like things haven't worked out the way probably Sabres fans would have wanted, but I was all in, whenever Taylor Hall signed. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's what they need, So
yeah, I just think I don't know if this is if there's any possibility that, but with Brendan Gallagher going down and his $3.75 million cap hit coming off the books, I don't know that Marc Bergevin, he just dealt for Eric Stahl. So he's obviously had a recent interaction with Kevin Adams, the GM of the Buffalo Sabres. And I don't know that cap-wise it would work. As of right now, I looked on capfriendly.com. I don't see that it does. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But if the Canadiens are, again, desperate for scoring, I mean, mm-hmm. Taylor Hall, if you're able to squeeze that in, if Buffalo eats half that salary cap, is Bergie not going to at least make a phone call? And I mean, I got to think he's going to ask what they're asking for Taylor Hall. And I think you mentioned it's going to be at least a first round pick minimum, right?
Buffalo, yes. And the thing about it is, like, I mean, I feel for the fans, and like the fans are awesome in Buffalo. Like Melody Martin is, a well-known Sabres fan YouTuber.
We're gonna try to get her on the show. Mel, if you want to come on, we'd love to have you.
Great person. She's awesome.
She is.
But hey, I could tweet her if you want me to. I'll DM her. But
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely. We'd love to have her on. No, we would. I'm serious.
I'll do
I
it,
live
man.
half an hour from Buffalo. They're slowly becoming my second favorite team. I can't believe I just said that out loud. But
That's
no, I'm
awesome.
serious. Like I have
That's
such a
sweet. No,
huge heart
seriously,
for
that's
them.
great. Like for
I
real.
really do. I really have a huge heart for Buffalo. I've seen what they've gone through, like through the Bills, the Sabres.
Yeah.
Listen, if the Pagulos can turn it around for the Buffalo Bills that quickly, they can do it for the Sabres, man. Like I know that they're really highly criticized and everything as owners of the Sabres and Bills, but right now it's the spotlight's on the Sabres. So I have this like comeback crazy vision for the Sabres that they're going to just do something awesome. I just hope that they do. But
I want them
yeah,
to so bad. I mean, and you talking about like the ownership, like obviously like nothing on the players at all. I know we're very positive on the show, but I think personally, I mean, like you were saying, a lot of the criticism, I think the ownership could be better there. I mean, I mean, if you listen to a lot of coverage, I mean, tons, I mean, everyone basically is pretty much saying, quote unquote, they kind of get in their own way a little bit at times. And I mean, it may just be,
maybe.
trying to do something and you think maybe it'll work and you're not sure and kind of just going out there and doing it. But I think like, I don't know, like maybe just kind of double down and kind of let the GM do his thing a little bit. There might be
Yeah.
a
Well, I
little
like
bit
Kevin
of a
Adams.
better option.
Yeah, like I like what he's started. I think that they liked him better than Jason Botterill. Maybe I think that they have a good relationship with Kevin.
Mel made
So,
a song about Botterill, so you can definitely check that out on our
oh, it's
channel.
awesome.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's really
humorous.
entertaining. Really entertaining. I actually suggested, I suggested to Mel. I actually tweeted her yesterday. I said you should do. I don't know if she's a Bieber fan. I'll confess, like I've listened to some Bieber. Okay, I am not going to lie about it. That's a sidetrack, but there's a song by him called "Be All Right," and everything's gonna be all right, and like just the
Ooh,
lyrics are bang on to talk about. Hopefully when Sabres fans are ready to be optimistic again, I thought Mel could maybe do a song like that to to boost the spirits of Sabres fans, because she just went to a Sabres game the other day or last week. She posted on her YouTube, and like
yes.
that was the most positive thing I've seen about the Buffalo Sabres in several years. That was
I
awesome.
haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I've been so busy with the deadline and like, Habs tonight and like my channel and stuff. But like I did see that she went to a game and like actually piped in. She was doing a live stream. Obviously like the Devils won, which kind of sucks for her, being a Buffalo fan. But I chimed in a little bit and she's like, "What's up?" And I like trying to support because like, like being a female hockey YouTuber, we all try to support each other, and it's you feel like maybe a little at times you might be a minority, so I mean you try to really stick together and really support each other as much as you can. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so humorous, and she's so funny. I mean, if you just watch her, she handles it so well. I mean, if I was a Buffalo fan, like
Yep.
personally, I'd probably be losing my mind right now. But I mean, for her to just, like obviously she gets on there and gives her spiel and she's real about it. But I mean, she's, you know what I mean? She's keeping her composure. She's going to games. She's showing up. She's being a fan, and that's, kudos to her. I mean, she said that there was barely anyone in there. So I don't know, like,
Yeah. Like
what
I've been in that
this,
arena. I've been in that arena more
yeah,
than any other arena in the NHL because I live so close. So seeing it as
that's me
empty
with
as it
Nationwide.
was,
Yeah, that's me with
yeah,
Nationwide. Yeah.
yeah. Like just anyway, we're pulling for this. At least I'm pulling for the Sabres a little bit. We got a little off track in terms of the trade deadline, but
I'm ADD, so sorry about that.
no, I have like a small version of it too, I think. So don't worry about it. Not your fault. I'm just going to wrap up with, who the Canadiens should target. I don't think there's a ton of options this year. I really don't. That's why,
Yeah.
like, say by some miracle we did land Taylor Hall, and then you throw in Caufield and he ends up being ready. All of a sudden, like, you just have such a stronger scoring punch with Toffoli, Anderson, Gallagher when he's back. That's kind of just throwing out, like, some random stuff. Like we have no idea where Taylor Hall is going to end up, but I just have to think that Bergie's going to at least make a call to Kevin and just say, "Listen, what do you want for him? How much salary are you going to take?" And then Montreal again does need a puck moving defenseman, but then we're going to get Ben Sherratt back. So who do you put with Weber for the rest of the way, and who do you put? Like I don't know if Romanov is ready for that kind of role yet. We're going to hopefully see him in a top pairing role at some point, but in terms of who the Habs should target, that's a really tough call at this point because there's just not a ton of options. The salary cap is obviously an issue. I don't know how Mike Hoffman would fit in with the club. I mean, there's just been issues, there's been stuff in the media about how he is, and as a person, I don't want to judge the guy. I don't know the guy, but there's just been a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen it as well. I don't
around the
know
league.
personally. Maybe Weesey can give us a little bit more insight on that, but I don't know personally. I just know that, like I said, the media said literally he was a healthy scratch, and I just reiterated what the coach said. Not just a matter of factly, that he was not performing to the coach's standards. That's what Berube, matter of fact, said. But anyway, I guess we'll see. I mean, I think, like you said, I agree with you. They do need to look more at the defensive core. I mean, maybe inserting a guy in there just to, bolster the lineup going in for a full run. I mean, it can't hurt. But personally, I don't know, like, I would be really, I mean, like you said, like, what does it hurt to give a call? But like what Buffalo wants, like, I don't know, man. Like, personally, like, they've been adamant they want a first rounder. And like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Bergevin would do that. You know what I mean? Just like in the position that you all are in. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't know if it's worth giving up a first at this point, but I mean, he's got 12 picks for this year's draft left still.
That's true. I mean, but
so I don't know how many more picks he wants to throw into that. Maybe, I don't know. He doesn't want to give up many prospects either, Bergevin. So I don't know that a Taylor Hall trade would really have anything to it. It's not for Montreal. Maybe, I don't know. But
not to be too critical, but like, I mean, it could be the Buffalo effect. Like, obviously, like, you insert Eric Stahl in there and like, it's, like, he's amazing. Or yeah, Eric Stahl, I get them mixed up. There's so many brothers, right? It's like 4 of them. You insert Eric Stahl in there and I mean, he's great, but it just depends. And it's like, is it the Buffalo effect or something else? So, I mean, I would be, if I were Bergevin, I'd be a little hesitant, but if you can talk Buffalo down and maybe, not going for the first and maybe go for a second or something else, then yeah, I mean, it can't hurt. Obviously, like you said, they have all those picks already. So, but they did give away a couple for Stahl too. So, I mean, there's that, but like,
yeah, it was like a third and a fifth. So
yeah, I mean, I mean, Neil from Post to Post was actually like, I don't know if you watch him. He's like a huge Habs fan.
Yeah, I talked to Neil. Neil's a great dude, for sure.
Dude, he's awesome. But he was actually even like a little perturbed for like even the third. Like, he was like, why did we do that? But like, obviously, like, everyone has their own opinions, It's just interesting to hear everyone's, different opinions on stuff. So
that was before Gallagher got hurt too. I mean, there's a lot of, when Stalzy came in the other night and got that OT winner, that was just wicked. I mean, that was so much fun. And that's, like, you put him right now, he's playing with Jonathan Drouin and Tyler Toffoli. I mean, I think they should throw Toffoli on the first line personally with Deneau and Tatar. He's their top goal scorer right now. So I don't know. That's just a side note, but
Toffoli was hot like last season. Even like, they are lucky.
Even Josh, like, throw him or Josh on the first line. But then they got to try to balance things out, right? We haven't had a chance to talk about the fact that Kotkaniemi's been on the wing these last 2 games as a winger. So, but I mean, we could probably keep going, Alyssa, because you and I love to talk hockey because we love this game, man. But we're gonna
literally be on here for like 5 hours, dude, and I would just be like sipping coffee and putting an IV in. I don't even know, but like, yes, that's definitely where my passion is. So I could go on.
We're gonna wrap it up, guys. But thank you so much as always for tuning in.
Yes.
We appreciate it. We have the Winnipeg Jets again on Saturday. We're not sure what our pre and post game schedule looks like just yet. I'm sure we're going to have a post game. Not sure, but the pre-game, we're always kind of just standing by with different things. Crushing Cans on Saturday. We're working on our next guest for We See Wednesday, so we'll let you guys know about that. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as you see at the bottom of the picture there right now. And Alyssa, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for jumping on with me tonight.
Yeah, it was awesome. I liked it. It's a good introduction.
Yeah, for sure. We could talk hockey all day long. And we're going to talk more Pittsburgh Penguins with you, my friend. I cannot wait because we got to get on that. About this guy
over here.
right here.
Can't wait.
So we're going to wrap it up here, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Habs Tonight post-game show. We'll see you very soon. And thanks again, Alyssa.
Anytime.